Our next speaker is the founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, whose mission is to expose government waste by capturing and posting online every dime taxed and spent at every level of government in real time. He is considered an expert on big data journalism and has spoken on the subject at the Columbia School of Journalism and Harvard, Georgetown, and George Washington Law Schools. He's a senior contributor at Forbes, and his works have been featured on national media of all kinds. OpenTheBooks.com is the world's largest repository of public spending, containing all disclosed federal spending, including salaries, contracts, grants, direct payments, and farm subsidies. So no wonder he is here to present Dumb and Dumber, the top 10 taxpayer fleece awards for 2021. Please welcome Adam Angie-F-Ski.
Thank you, Monica. As many of you may know, I'm from Illinois, and it is the Super Bowl of corruption. And I think that's why I'm so excited to be with you here today, right here in South Dakota at FreedomFest. So let's get right to it. Over the course of the last 5,000 years of human history, you and I have been given the greatest gift, and it's a constitution that recognizes that our rights come from God and not government. We actually instituted a government to secure our rights. And our founders knew that we, the people, needed the tools to hold that government accountable. They understood that knowledge is power. They understood the power of transparency, and they wrote it into our founding documents. And it's Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution, and it states that a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. And today, it is the internet age. Post every dime online in real time. Open the books. My name is Adam Angie-F-Ski, and I founded OpenTheBooks.com on the clear mission to post every dime taxed and spent at every level of government across the entire country online. And today, we file 40,000 Freedom of Information Act requests a year. It is the most in American history. Last year, we successfully captured $6 trillion of federal, state, and local spending. And we do this so you can follow the money, so you can hold the political class accountable for tax and spend decisions. And not only do we open the books, we audit the books, and the audits make national news. Today, I am excited to share with you 10 ways your government wasted your tax dollar. And remember, it's your money. Example number 1, only in New York City in the public schools do the janitors out-earn the principals. Yes, you could be a janitor in the New York City public schools and make up to $256,000 a year. Those principals, on average, they make $154,000 a year. Now that's dumb, but this is even dumber. Lifeguards in LA County make up to $392,000 a year. I guess life's a beach in LA County if you're an LA County lifeguard. Our auditors at OpenTheBooks.com found that 81 lifeguards in LA County made between $200,000 and $392,000 last year. And I don't have to convince you that states like New York and California, they have a lot of problems. Example number 2, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. He declared war on rats and dedicated $32 million of taxpayer money for more rat corpses. So at OpenTheBooks.com, we actually partnered with the New York Times to investigate who was winning the war. Was it the rats or was it the New York City bureaucrats? And here's what we found. We found that citizen complaints to the city hotline on rats was at an all-time high. During the war on rats, it spiked 32%, and the New York Times actually wrote the headline, "The rats are taking over New York City." And that's dumb, but this is even dumber. San Francisco. The self-described members of the San Francisco Poop Patrol make up to $182,000 a year. And I've been thinking about this. Maybe on the San Fran City payroll, they're the only ones actually earning their money. You see, our auditors, over a 9-year period, we mapped the citizen complaints of human waste in the public way in San Francisco, and every single case, we used brown pins. And there was 140,000 pins on that map. The whole city was brown. Let me tell you, there's a brownout in the Bay Area. And that is a human health catastrophe. In America, we can't make America great again until we make America accountable again. Example number 3, the accountability must start with the federal bureaucracy, the administrative state. Incredibly, if you're a federal employee and you hit your 3-year anniversary, you receive 44 days of paid time off. That's 11 holidays, 13 sick days, and 20 vacation days. That's nearly 9 full work weeks where you're paid to stay home. Is this France? That's dumb, but this is even dumber. The federal government, the United States military, the post office, the federal executive agencies, boards and commissions, the federal government employs 4.3 million employees. So who last year made the most money? Was it the President of the United States? No, our auditors found, of course, it was Dr. Anthony Fauci. He was the #1 most highly compensated federal employee last year. And join me on this. Don't you wish Fauci did a better job of following the science? In America, we also need a war on waste. Example number 4, it starts with federal grant making. Last year, the federal agencies doled out subsidies, giveaways, $700 billion of grants. And it's a target-rich environment for waste. Health and Human Services gave a $200,000 grant to create a new virtual reality platform to help Chinese children learn how to cross their busy streets. And they should learn how to cross their own busy streets without Uncle Sam as the crossing guard. NASA, $1 million federal grant to prepare the nation's religions for the discovery of extraterrestrial life. HHS gave a $1.4 million grant to teach sex education to California prostitutes who could probably teach the class. And speaking of prostitutes, example number 5, the Ivy League. Cornell University is an Ivy League college, and Cornell took a $1 million grant for a study where it hurts the most to be stung by a bee. The answer is the nostril. Go figure. That's dumb, but this is even dumber. At openthebooks.com, we did a study of the Ivy League. 6-year period, 8 schools of the Ivy League, and at U.S. taxpayer expense, they received $42 billion of taxpayer-paid subsidies, special tax treatment on their endowments, and direct federal payments on contracts and grants. Who knew? Who knew that the Ivy League was taxing you? They've got a $150 billion endowment, and they don't need taxpayer help. You tell me what government program is running well. Could it be COVID aid 2020? That was passed on a bipartisan basis in Congress. Every Republican voted for it, every Democrat voted for it. And many rich institutions got a lot of COVID aid. Hamilton, you know Hamilton. It is the most successful musical ever on Broadway. Hamilton applied for $50 million worth of COVID aid, your tax dollars. They've already received $30 million of COVID aid. And that's dumb, but this is even dumber. PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, for the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party, domestically here in America, they own 125 companies, either owned or heavily invested in, many in the defense space. And those countries on paycheck protection funding received up to $420 million of PPP funding. And that was the funding that was supposed to go to struggling mom and pop businesses on Main Street. What government program is running well? I mean, how do these things happen? Well, one reason it happens is because Congress doesn't have time to simply read the bill. So if you want to do something right now to help drain the swamp, I encourage you to go to openthebooks.com/read the bill. We've got a petition to urge Congress to take a 72-hour timeout on a piece of legislation to allow the people, the pundits, the politicians to be able to read the bill and hold them accountable for what's in the bill. Because I submit to you, do we really have a representative republic if our representatives don't have time to read the bill? So did Congress learn from their lessons? Example number 7, COVID aid 2021. Now, this legislation wasn't done on a bipartisan basis. It was hyper-partisan. Every Democrat voted for it, every Republican voted against it. The American Rescue Act, $2 trillion, and tucked in there was $350 billion to bail out the states and the cities. So at openthebooks.com, we looked at the cities getting bailed out, and we found that the top 50 richest places in America received $100 million out of that bill. It's places like Beverly Hills, California, $6.3 million. You got Greenwich, Connecticut in there for $21 million, the Hamptons, Key West, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And that's dumb. But this is even dumber. The state governments that were running budget surplus, they got bailed out too. You got the red state of Utah. They were running a $1.7 billion budget surplus. We bailed them out for $1.7 billion. The purple state of Colorado, they ran a $3.8 billion surplus. We bailed them out for $4 billion. California, they ran a $75 billion surplus, and Congress bailed them out with our tax money for $26 billion. So what government program is running well? Example number 8. Could it be the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service? They run a program called the Earned Income Tax Program. It's a program meant to help poor families. And the IRS admitted that 1 out of every $4 that they paid out of that program went to unqualified people, and that amount last year alone was $18 billion. And so that's dumb. But here's what's even dumber. Social Security Administration. Now, they admitted to their improper and mistaken payments of $8 billion last year. So our auditors dug a little deeper. Here's what we found at Social Security. They actually have 6 million active Social Security numbers of people aged 112 and older. There's only 40 of those people alive in the entire world. But wait, it gets worse. Every year, the 20 largest federal agencies, they're mandated to report to Congress their improper and mistaken payments. And we've added up what they've admitted to since 2004, and the number is a stunning $2.5 trillion. And it gets worse. Example number 9, unemployment insurance. Our politicians, at the height of the pandemic, they shut down our economy to flatten the curve. And they tossed 44 million Americans out of a job. So if government has a purpose, it's to help people who have real needs. People are in pain. People this time had lost their job. Can government be the white knight and solve the problem? Congress threw $860 billion of unemployment insurance funding. And now we know that up to $400 billion of that unemployment aid was stolen by criminals and con artists. It is the largest public fraud in the history of the country. This is institutionalized incompetence. We can't make America great again unless we make America accountable again. And it starts with federal agencies like Veterans Affairs. You remember the period when up to 1,000 sick veterans died because they couldn't get in to see a doctor on a timely basis, and the VA said they didn't have the budget to hire enough doctors, and our auditors at OpenTheBooks.com, we forensic audited their checkbook, and here's what we found. We found during that period, the VA purchased $20 million worth of high-end luxury artwork. It was 27-foot Christmas trees costing $21,000 a piece. It was sculptures priced like 5-bedroom homes. We found 2 fancy sculptures totaling $700,000 purchased by the VA Medical Center in Palo Alto, California, a medical center that serves blind veterans. And blind veterans can't see a fancy sculpture, and every veteran deserves to be able to see a doctor. And our findings rocked. Good Morning America, ABC World News Tonight. U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley picked that up. He wrote an oversight letter to VA Secretary Robert McDonald. 28 days later, McDonald apologized for the purchases and instituted new rules to stop the practice on a go-forward basis. And that's the power of transparency. We believe transparency revolutionizes United States public policy and politics. At 1 o'clock, join me if you want to hear more details on just how deep the swamp is and a roadmap so you can help stop it. Join me at the breakout session. I'm inviting you to join the transparency revolution. God bless you, and God bless the country. Thank you. Thank you very much.